Today we're talking about the Florida man going after Rockstar for what he perceives to be a case of identity theft. Ethan Crumbly, the Oxford high school shooter, was sentenced to life without parole. And get excited because you may be worth $100,000. What's up, Internet? Welcome to Monday's episode of the Insight Hour. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I just got a new couch that's way bougier than anything I have ever bought before. It was really expensive. I got a good deal. It's the only way I would have bought it. Yeah, you know you're adulting when the most exciting thing about your weekend was furniture shopping. Yeah, Alice, just bring up the first story before I keep revealing how boring my life actually is.
Today's topic is a fascinating controversy involving Grand Theft Auto 6 and a real-life figure known as the Florida Joker. Lawrence Sullivan, the Florida Joker, claims Rockstar Games used his likeness in the new GTA 6 trailer and is demanding compensation.
Alright team, let's unpack this, shall we? First, let's set the stage. Lawrence Sullivan, aka the Florida Joker. The man whose mugshot became a viral sensation for his Joker-esque look is now looking to lock horns with Rockstar Games. He's claiming that a character in the soon-coming GTA 6 decked out in an orange jumpsuit, purple hair, and face tats is a ripoff of his iconic look. Now, he's not just asking for recognition. No, he slapped a price tag on what he perceives to be his likeness. Yes, up to $2 million, which I mean is one way to cash in on your 15 minutes of fame. So is this a case of life imitating art or art imitating life? Well, I would argue that it's a life imitating art, and then art imitating life, and then life wanting to take credit and payment for the art that it ripped off without payment. Let me explain. Sullivan's look isn't exactly unique. There are similar styles all over the place, anywhere from gang-related tattoos to prison tattoos to pop culture examples. There was that fire guy in Suicide Squad who also happened to be a prisoner. And his name, for fuck's sake, Florida Joker, as in Batman and DC. In other words, this man straight stole his identity from a comic book character. So I sort of feel like if he gets something from Rockstar, he may owe some to all of that money to DC, cause, you know, identity theft or something, in his words. Look, GTA is known for its satirical take on everything under the sun. I mean, every city and every game is based off a real world place, so would it be surprising if they based a character off the image of somebody in the real world as well? No, it wouldn't. Okay, so then we have a conversation about identity, artistic freedom, and the boundaries of inspiration on our hands. Do I think this man's face coming up in a video game hurts his public image at all? Yeah, no, definitely not. In fact, it felt factual. Like, somebody that looks like that, I may be an ass for thinking this, but somebody that looks like that probably was in a place like that. Again, my dad didn't look like that, but he was in a place like that, so I believe this man went to jail. You know, if Rockstar did draw from Sullivan's persona, it's a pretty massive nod to the power of viral fame. It's basically a, you're so iconic, you're now part of GTA lore. Arguably one of the most iconic games in history, which when I put it that way, I mean, no shit, this man wants his bag. I guess the conversation we should be having is, where do we draw the line when it comes to homage, theft, and respecting an individual's rights? Let me know in the comments.
Our next story is an update coming to us from Michigan. Ethan Crumbly, the teenager responsible for the fatal shooting of 4 classmates at Oxford High School in 2021, has been sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Alright, so if you don't remember this particular shooting, Ethan, just 15 at the time, carried out one of the deadliest school shootings in recent US history. He used a semi-automatic handgun, a Christmas gift from his parents, to murder 4 students and injure others. Which, parents of the year right there. Buy your kid an Xbox, please. They don't need a gun. They're not hunting. Anyways, the sentencing followed hours of testimony from grieving families and friends. The father of a 14-year-old victim, Hannah, whom died alongside another student, Kylie Osega, who tragically died while trying to comfort Hannah in her final moments, spoke of the shattered dreams, the graduations, and milestone he'll never get to witness now. Crumbly's parents are also facing charges of involuntary manslaughter. It's a rare case of parents being held accountable for their child's actions in a school shooting. The judge described the massacre as a, quote, true act of terrorism, highlighting the premeditated nature of Ethan's actions. The case raises just way too many questions. You know, the typical, how did we get here? What can be done to prevent such tragedies? And more importantly, how long until we don't care it's happening anymore? Because I gotta tell you, it's starting to become an NPC on NPC crime to me now. And sadly, I feel like that was the goal of this do-nothing approach. It's hard to find a silver lining in these strategies, but maybe the life sentence without parole will bring some kind of sense of justice and closure to the families of the victims. And all I can say about the matter is, child or not, you're trash, and it's time to throw out the trash.
Let's dive into the realm of economics, specifically the U.S. national debt, which has reached a staggering new milestone. The debt now surpasses an average of $100,000 per person in the United States. This development raises significant concerns about the nation's fiscal health and future.
Okay, so before we get into this, I would just like to preface this conversation with stating that it's super obvious and transparent that we only seem to talk about the debt and deficit when Democrats are in the White House, and how these things don't seem to really matter when Republicans are in office, i.e. the Trump tax cuts, everything Paul Ryan ever talked about. You get it. Having said that, let's talk numbers. The US national debt has hit jaw-dropping levels of over $100,000 per person. That's right, every man, woman, and child in the USA could theoretically owe this amount. With the US population estimated at nearly 336 million and the national debt nearing 34 trillion, these figures are, what's the word again? Right. Alarming. Because they're astronomical. Who said that? Was not I. Anyways, Representative John James commented on the situation, highlighting it as a wake-up call to the White House about the consequences of reckless federal spending, which is just fucking rich, but I digress. Now, this isn't just a domestic problem for us, because internationally, credit rating agencies like Fitch Ratings and Moody's have downgraded the US credit rating, reflecting growing concerns about the country's ability to manage its debts. What's driving the debt? Well, a lot of it comes from the federal deficit spending, which has been on the rise since the COVID-19 pandemic. While deficits have decreased from their pandemic peaks, they're still way above their pre-pandemic levels. The spending in question, though, well, that was meant to help stabilize the economy during the pandemic, as opposed to, I don't know, tax cuts that like 80% or something of the benefits went to the top percentile of the United States. So, you know, it's bad because it helped us all. But priorities, who needs them, right? In all seriousness though, while 100K per person is really just an average, it doesn't change the fact that we're pretty royally fucked right now. And due to the whole not being an economist thing, I have zero suggestions on what we can do about it. I mean, there was the ending to Fight Club. That might be a good route to go. Any volunteers? Also, I'm just kidding. No one blow up any buildings, please. At least not on my behalf. But if you happen to wipe out my debt, I'm not gonna be mad at you for it. Anyways, we're gonna call it here. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about any of today's topics. And as always, stay weird, stay safe, and I will see you, particularly you, next time.